So a friend of mine forwarded me this article, and I'm gonna comment on the article. The article will be at the description section of this video. You can check it out yourself. Alright, so here's the title. Beaten to death for walking in front of a camera. Woman, 23, killed outside nightclub because she accidentally interrupted a photo. So this happened in California. This woman was beaten down by, I believe, 2 women and 3 men for basically walking in front of a photo. I guess a group of people were trying to take a photo, and she accidentally walked in the front, and then she got in a verbal altercation with one of the ladies, and then all of a sudden she just jumped by 5 people. Beat down by 3 dudes, beat down by 2 girls. She got put in critical condition. She went to the hospital. They put her on life support, and then eventually they pulled the plug, and then she's dead. You know, so very small little girl, you know, skinny, and so my feedback. This is kind of like what I'm talking about when it comes to like real violence. This is not violence for entertainment. This is not combat sport. This is not the boxing ring. This is not point sparring. This is not UFC. This is not cage fighting. This is not wrestling. This is like real violence in the streets. And real violence in the streets is not a pretty thing. Real violence on the streets, there are no rules. Anything could happen, and in this instance, it shows you how dangerous real fighting is and what can happen. It's not fair. One little girl trying to survive against 3 men and 2 other girls getting jumped by 5 people. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. You know, I mean, but this is the reality of real combat and what we need to prepare for. Now, what could have been done? What could have been done differently? Now, I've got time and time again, I've spoken about this, about how when you train in the martial arts, it's supposed to get you to make better decisions in life, more intelligent decisions, wiser decisions in your life. And basically, when you train in the martial arts, it should lead you away from alcohol. It should lead you away from the club life. It should lead you away from the bar scene. When you go to the clubs, when you go to the bars, it's one of the most dangerous environments to be in. You know, you're out there late at night. There's people that are on drugs, people that are just strung up in alcohol. Everybody's smoking. A lot of people smoking. People don't really value their health there. There's a lot of ego, a lot of pride. You know, people feel so good about themselves because they're with their friends. They feel like they're on top of the world because they got their friends with them. There's this ego trip that goes on. It's like, it's beyond the ego trip of just like somebody who might know how to fight. It gets even worse because people, when they get around their friends, they all of a sudden they think they're so cool. They think they're so badass. It's like a gang type thing, you know. You're with your friends, now you think you're the bomb, you know, and basically because there's so much ego, because of the alcohol, because of the drugs, people don't really make smart decisions, and there's a lot of ego and pride. So then when people get disrespected, when there's arguments, those arguments easily escalate into something very deadly, like what happened here. So what I'm saying with the martial arts training is it's supposed to basically lead you towards a more peaceful life. So meaning partly her fault is allowing herself to be in that type of environment. You know, like, she shouldn't have been there. You know, I mean, if she lived a more peaceful life, she wouldn't be in that type of environment. But, you know, being in that type of environment, in that such a, you know, such like a dangerous environment like that, she would be safer if she was with somebody that was able to protect her. I mean, just think about it. You know what I mean? I got little children. You can't just let your children out at night. You gotta be there to protect them. They gotta be where you are, because you're there to protect them. And when women go to these, like, areas that are very dangerous, you know, such as the bars and clubs, they should have protection with them. Like, be with a man that could protect them. If she had a man that was protecting her, I don't think she would have died. But it seems like she was with nobody, and she just got jumped by 5 people and nobody was there to help her. You know, so I think that's another aspect. First of all, just not even being in that environment to begin with. And if you are in that environment, like, be protected. And if you can't be protected, then just don't go. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a sad case, but it just shows you that this is the reality of violence out there, the reality of real combat, and there's no rules, you know. And these people beat down on a little girl, a little woman. They don't have, like, there's people out there, they don't have the common sense, they don't have the respect to basically not hit on somebody or not beat on somebody. They'll just do whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? Men beating on little women, 5 against 1, and, you know, against one person. They don't care. It's not fair, but that's what they do. You know, people pulling out guns and shooting people over stupid things. Somebody taking their gun and shooting a bunch of little kids for no reason. I mean, it's just, you know, some idiots, you know, exploding a bomb in the Boston Marathon. I mean, there's a lot of very violent people out there, and we have to realize that, you know, that this world is not, there's no rules in this world. People do really, really horrible things, and these are the types of things that we really need to prepare for. It's not the stuff that you see on TV that's all fantasy. You know, it's all made up. The reality is just anything could happen, and we need to be prepared for that. So this also goes back to training. You know, like, training to make yourself stronger, to make yourself more resilient. You know, like, when you train, you exercise, you get muscles that protect you, that shield you. Your bones get stronger, so then your bones won't break as easily. Alright? When you train in the martial arts, you learn how to protect yourself from head injuries, and you learn how to protect yourself from, like, receiving, like, greater damage to your body, simply because you know how to properly position yourself, you know how to block certain strikes better, you know how to shield yourself. If she had martial arts training, if she had more physical fitness training, potentially she could have survived. You know, I mean, even when you're on the ground and people are beating on you, there's a certain way that you could protect your head, you know, in order to survive. And she could have done that. You know, even against 5 people. You know, I mean, it also indicates the importance of training as a way of survival. And you know, she died from brain damage, so she just got struck in the head way too many times with way too much force, and it just destroyed her brain. And it's just the decisions that she made in life. She could have made better decisions. If she trained in martial arts and she received proper instruction, chances are she wouldn't have even been in that type of environment to begin with. Alright? And another aspect is to be smarter, that you go to dangerous environments, have protection. If you're a woman, be with the man that can protect you. Right? Another thing is, if she was properly trained, she could have survived that dangerous encounter. Or she could have not participated in escalating the situation in which to turn it into an argument. Because I'm sure the argument is what sparked off the violence. She probably stepped in between the picture, and then she got in a verbal altercation with another woman. If she had the proper training, maybe she would have refrained from escalating the situation. Because you got another woman that has her friends with her, and she's just talking all like she's just a bomb, knowing that her friends are gonna jump in. And then you're by yourself. It'd be smarter and more intelligent to just back off and just don't even participate in the argument. But it seems that maybe she continued to argue with this woman, and then escalated to a violent situation, and then the other woman's friends jumped in and beat this person to death. A lot of times real fights, they start off with an argument. With the proper spiritual training that the real martial arts is supposed to deliver to you, is supposed to be able to help you refrain from engaging in these fruitless arguments that lead towards unnecessary violence. To kind of like put your own ego in check, to kind of just let it go. But when you get in an environment where there's so much ego involved, and you're fighting ego with ego, you gotta be prepared for something potentially deadly. So there could have been things that within this woman's life that could have been changed in order to better the situation. But in this incident, it's a learning experience, I think, for many people. They could learn from it. That women have to realize that, hey, we live in such a violent world that there's no rules out there. Men will hit the woman. They don't care. Men will hit the children. Men will do what they want to do. And women can't take their safety for granted. They can't just be like, oh, I'm a woman, they'll never hit me. A man will never hit me. Or go to the clubs and go out late at night by themselves, thinking that they're going to be okay all the time. No, if you're going out late at night by yourself, you better have somebody there to protect you. That's smarter. You know what I mean? It's like, it just is what it is. I mean, this world is dangerous. You gotta be careful where you go. Unless you have protection. Unless you could, you could hold your own, you could protect yourself. You got your gun with you, or you got your friends with you. There people there to help you. But if you're just by yourself, maybe you shouldn't go out late at night all the time. Or be careful where you go. Just like, for example, just like a bad neighborhood, like there's a lot of homicides in a certain neighborhood. You don't want to go there late at night. Don't go there. You know that it's a dangerous place. Don't go. But bars and clubs, they're just dangerous places to be. No matter what neighborhood they're in. It's just, the people that are attracted to be in those types of environments, they are irresponsible people. They are not good people. They are people that are ready to be violent. I mean, this is the nightlife. So that could be learned. Another aspect to be learned is that women, they should be training in the martial arts as well to protect themselves. You know, in order to increase their chances of survival within like violent encounters. You know, and then for everybody also just to realize that this is real violence. There are no rules. You know, and this person's dead now. And it's 5 against 1 against a little girl, a little woman. And real fighting a lot of times leads to real death. This is how the reality of combat really is. And this is what we really need to prepare for. How to deal with these types of, you know, this type of violence. This type of real violence. And like I said, more cases than not, things like this start from an argument. And when the argument, you need to learn when to argue and when not to. You understand? You need to learn when to argue and when not to. So for example, say like, you know, you're with your 5 friends, and then they're there with their 5 friends, and then the argument takes place. Okay, now it can escalate because now you're depending on your friends to jump in while their friends jump in. Then it's an even match. Then okay, if you want to argue, okay, you want to kind of stand up for your ego, or you know, stand up for your pride, then go ahead and argue if you want, because then it'll just be an even brawl. Or say, you know, this girl with her 5 friends are there, and then you alone, but then there just happens to be a couple of police officers right there, and then you want to argue, okay, go ahead and argue, because those police officers are going to jump in to save you if it gets too, you know, to save you when it gets further than just the argument. But in this situation, you know, I'm pretty sure if this woman would have put her ego in check, it may have prevented this dangerous fight from occurring. You know, I'm sure, you know, the argument is what escalated to the fight. So basically, learning how to avoid the argument, or learning how to just back off, you know, that's important for your survival. You know, to not just assume that, you know, oh, you know, a man won't hit me, so I'm gonna tell him off. I'm gonna embarrass him. I'm gonna make him look like a fool. He's not gonna hit me. Or, you know, just assuming things that other people, strangers, are gonna jump in to help you, which did not happen. At least not at least not quick enough to save her. You know, so just based on the information that I've read in the article, that's my feedback. You know, I mean, we live in a violent world, and this is what real martial artists need to prepare for. There's a time and place to argue. There's sometimes you gotta make the decision, a smarter decision, to just let go of it. And a lot of times it's just where you choose to put yourself. You know what I mean? You put yourself around a bunch of drunk people, then you should be prepared to fight. Because chances are, you go there enough, you're going to end up fighting. You know, but if you know, it'd be hard to believe that, hey, you know, something like this would pop off at a coffee shop. Or something like this will be popping off, like, at a library. Or something like this would be popping off at, like, like at a, you know, like a average restaurant. You know what I mean? Bars and clubs, they're there for as a place for criminals to spend time. That's why they're there. That's why they're open so damn late. They're there for the criminals. So you're stepping into the criminal nightlife. And if you're gonna step into the criminal nightlife, be prepared. Be adequately prepared. You understand? Man or woman. You know, and that's my feedback on it. You know what I mean? Um, the more intelligent you are, the more mature you become, you'll make better decisions, and you'll choose not to be in those types of environments. And when you're not in that type of environment, you just increase your chance of survival.